Okay. Well, this is an event that we've been wanting to do for some time to promote nonviolence among our students. We think it's an important message in the context of the training that we deliver, which is preparing young people for their future. And with the group that we work with, we think that this is a big issue in their lives and in their communities, and we want to make sure that they have an alternative path out of that and to a better future.
This is our nursing program. It's a certified nursing assistant. And they get certified in two things, CPR and nurses assistant. And they're certified with the state of Missouri from Jefferson City. They take a large exam after they've taken multiple exams from me, and their course also includes 100 hours in a nursing facility.
Okay, well, I'm going to be a physical therapist or RN, so it's helping me further my education, and also I'm thinking about taking up the ACC program here, when they would help me with getting ACC scores up high enough to get possibly financial aid and everything to help me with going to school.
I'm part of the TCU program. I'm a carman, and what we do pretty much over there, we have a hands-on for the carmens and the conductors. We have an air brake simulator, and we have the brake shoes and a coupler, so we have an idea of what we're gonna do once we get a job. We have a really good instructor. He's been working on the rails for over 30 years, so we also have the chance to go to the yard and actually see like people working and see the cars and everything. What we have here is a system that works for the, you can check the air pressure, make sure every car has the proper air working.
This is Chef Ross class at the St. Louis Job Corps Center, and our main objective is to create beautiful things in the kitchen. That's what culinary arts mean. We work on different types of food, from chicken, duck. We have worked with pasta. We have worked with
Shrimp.
Yeah, shrimps.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Positive environment, positive things going on. Would you please rise for the presentation of the colors presented to you today by the Sulphur Excelsior Springs Job Corps Center, JRTC. Receive them at this time. And now we are the singing of the national anthem by Mr. William Hartwick.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed as the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we'd watch are so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the
At this time, would you please be prepared to receive prayer from Reverend Sam Norman at this time.
There's a story about two young men who were fishing, and one slipped off into the water, and the other one reached and grabbed a rope, and he throwed it to him. And the one that was in the water, he began to holler, "Terry, the rope is breaking." He said, "Reach beyond the break and hold on." If we can stand for the American flag, let us stand as we go before the Lord in our prayer. Reach beyond the break and hold on. I know that is not proper, but just want you to reach and grab somebody's hand and tell them, "I got you. I got you."
I want to give honor and thanks to God. So if you have two hands right now, put your two hands together for the being that gave you those two hands. Put your two hands together for God. Mandatory. Then, I am honored to be here today on behalf of Better Family Life. And sometimes the name of an organization just says it all. Better Family Life. Say that for me. I'm honored and humbled to work for the organization, but let me introduce you to the organization's founder. Please put your hands together for the founder, executive director, and CEO of Better Family Life, Brother Malik Ahmed. Brother Malik Ahmed. Yes. Then I have to say to Brother Booker, brother, hands down across the board, you have possibly the best organization for young people in the United States of America. Yes. 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 And, I just don't say that just to say it. I say it because I've seen Job Corps change people's lives. I've seen many young men, Brother Booker, who are on their way to the penitentiary or the tomb. But with Job Corps adding resources, it changed the quality of a lot of young people's lives. But I would be remiss if I did not ask for us to give a quick and heartfelt moment of silence for the 9 individuals who lost their lives at Emmanuel AME Church in North Carolina. And we also have to give a moment of silence for Mr. Matthew Anderson, who was one of Job Corps' own that tragically lost his life. So let's have a moment of silence, please. Amen. Now I have the distinct introduction of introducing you to 2 men that I know personally. These 2 men are good men who have very good intentions. You always judge a man or woman by their intentions. These 2 men have been thrown into a very, very precarious reality, but they're good men, and they head the area's 2 largest police departments. St. Louis City Police Department, Brother Sam Dotson, Mona. And St. Louis County has John Belmer as its police chief, Chief Belmer. And brothers and sisters, with all that has gone on and with all that has gone wrong, these two men are committed to making it right. So we'll hear remarks from Chief Sam Dotson and then from Chief John Belmer. Thank you very much, and God bless each and every one of you.
It is my honor to be here with you today, to see young people come together, and the student leaders from Job Corps, the ROTC program, and everybody that took time today to put on a t-shirt that says, "We must stop killing each other." There's a saying that says, "May you live in interesting times." And we do live in interesting times with Twitter and Facebook and all the things that we have. But that's a double-edged sword. Some people think that comes from a Chinese curse. May you live in interesting times. We see the violence that James Clark talked about in North Carolina. We see the violence right here on your campus. That's not good. We are better than that as a community. We are better than that as a society. Everybody in this room, everybody up here, can change this. When we come together with James Clark, when we come together with John Belmer, when we come together with Sam Dotson, we are stronger than anybody out there that wants to prey on us. And the only way we can do this, the only way we can be successful, is when we come together as a community like we are here today. So we have to stop the violence. We have to stop killing each other. Black lives matter. White lives matter. Every life matters. So when I go to work every day, at the end of the day, I hope that I made the city a little bit better with what we do. All I ask is every day when you go out, you go to school, go out with your friends, do something in the community, leave our city a little better than when we found it. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your support, and be safe.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It's a privilege to be here. My father's 83 years old. He had quadruple bypass Friday morning. He had a stroke on Tuesday. So we don't know if Dad's going to make it through, but prayers are going to make a difference. But I'm sitting in his hospital room, and I see the news break about the horrible killing in the Carolinas. And I thought, what a tragedy. What a senseless tragedy for that to happen. And then you turn the news on and you see it over and over and over. And my goodness, I don't have the words to express the sorrow and what it would take to do something like that. But my goodness, we ought to feel the same about every young man and woman that's killed on our streets throughout the United States. And we ought to be able to understand that their lives matter too, and that we should as a community pay attention to that as much as things that perhaps are more provocative. I'll say something a little different today. We all know about the fact we can't arrest our way to a better community. We can't arrest our way out of problems. We can do a better job. But I had an occasion last summer to meet a lady named Sister Ebo. Sister Ebo is an African-American nun. And in 1965, Sister Ebo was a young lady working in the church, and she went to Selma, Alabama to cross the Pettus Bridge. But there were other civil rights workers down there before she took off, and they had been hospitalized because they had been beaten. But Sister Ebo didn't cancel her trip. Sister Ebo flew down there, but she had to land in a farmer's field and travel through the timber to get to the church that day. And when she got there and the doors opened, the pastor in the middle of his service looked at her and he said, "Ladies and gentlemen, we have an angel among us." In my world, Sister Ebo is the closest I'll ever come to Mother Teresa, so I saw her last summer. She's 91 years old. I sat in the car that she was sitting in, kind of on the stoop, and she held my hand. And we talked. I asked her about her life. she wanted to know about my family. And I told her all about it. I said, Sister Ebo, you're a sweetheart. She says, I'm too old to be a sweetheart. I said, no, you're not. But while we were talking, Sister Ebo said something to me that I'll never forget. She says, I need a favor. I said, Sister, anything. She said, I need you to pray for me.
Nonviolent actions can be just as powerful and effective today as they were during the civil rights era, as they were during Mahatma Gandhi's time. History has taught us that the effectiveness of Mahatma Gandhi's nonviolent protests for justice, and of course Martin Luther King's powerful nonviolent doctrine, were effective in bringing about change. It was Martin Luther King who told us that man must evolve from all human conflict, a method which rejects revenge, aggression, and retaliation. And the foundation for that is love. The love that Dr. Martin Luther King speaks of is embedded all around us. It's embedded in our families, in our friendships, and in our neighborhoods. And where it should be most firmly embedded is within our hearts. And that starts with you and with me. Our Job Corps community here in St. Louis suffered a recent tragic loss. Matthew Anderson sought to better his life and to pull himself up, and he turned to Job Corps for help in doing just that. But most sadly, he was taken away from us far too soon. In the wake of such a senseless tragedy, I want to thank the Job Corps staff for their critical role that they played. Our staff members were in place to provide the counseling and the guidance for every student who was enrolled in the St. Louis Job Corps program. I also want to acknowledge the law enforcement, who was the two chiefs that are here today, for their role as well. Our commitment to safety and fostering a secure environment is paramount to the successful training and education of our students. The National Job Corps Association and the 125 centers throughout the country, including the St. Louis Center here, recognize and pledge their full cooperation towards justice. And the flame of Matthew Anderson's memory will continue to burn brightly within us, as will his quest for a better tomorrow. A couple of months ago, we had the privilege of celebrating the Job Corps program's 50th anniversary in Washington, D.C. And we did it with 700 of our closest and dearest friends, including Senator staff as well as the job community supporters throughout the country. And it just so happens that the morning after the horrific incident here at the St. Louis Job Corps Center, the National Director of the Job Corps program, Lanita Jacobs, was scheduled to speak with our student ambassadors. Lanita instead decided that she would open the floor just for the students to comment on what had happened and to reflect on what had happened. What was amazing was the outpouring of support and response of the students. The students in attendance felt an obligation to support and help the St. Louis Job Corps Center. And they did so as part of the National Job Corps Center family. One student suggested having a moment of silence, which was quickly acknowledged and done. Another student asked the group about starting a youth violence prevention campaign. You see, these individual students took the time and the initiative to support one another at the most critical time. And why? Because in Job Corps, we are family. That campaign that I just mentioned to you, the students' idea, has taken root and is in the early stages of becoming a full-blown national campaign. This individual student had an idea, and now it is being fully embraced and implemented at the national level. You see, Job Corps students and our youth at large have the power to stop the violence in the communities. They have the solution, and I believe very strongly that the Job Corps program has the structure to foster ideas and implement solutions. Job Corps' national presence in Washington, D.C. is a result of a network of supporters who speak up on the program's behalf. We are very privileged here in the St. Louis area to have some very strong supporters, including Congressman Lacey May, Clay, as well as Senators McCaskill and Senator Roy Blunt. They've been supporters of the Job Corps program, and we're very appreciative of their support, and we want to continue to urge them to be advocates of Job Corps.
Black and white, this room would be ugly. But there's a bunch of color in here: yellow, orange, green, blue. So that's that diversity. That's that intertwine. That's what makes the world go round. You can't separate yourself and be successful. Whites need blacks. Blacks need whites. No matter what you may think, this is my personal opinion. We need each other to become successful. True story. True story. Had a friend of mine said, and I love him. I love him, and because we get into deep discussions. And he told me, he said, you know, why don't they just take about 7 or 8 states and let all the black people move to those 7 or 8 states, and we'll be a better, and give us our own laws, give us our own whatever, and watch how we operate. I said, yeah, that's fine and dandy. That's fine and dandy. Do you think you're really gonna operate like that? We can't. Because we have become we have put ourselves in a position whereas we're just like crabs in the bucket. I see you doing something prosperous, I'm gonna pull you back down. You gotta start helping each other.
I was blessed, I would say that. I was blessed to have an RA like Ms. Jones. I was blessed to have another RA by Ms. McDaniels. I was blessed to have my painting instructor because I was in a painting trade. I was blessed to have my counselors, my mentor, he was here earlier. Just being surrounded by people who actually want to help you in life is very hard to find, especially at this stage when you're a young person coming up and growing up. My background, I can't talk about, I lived in the hood. I can't talk about those types of things. I was adopted when I was 5, by older parents. My mom right now is 93 years old. So I grew up with older people. We were sheltered, of course. When you growing up with that generation, can't really go out and do anything. So when I came to St. Louis, needless to say, I lost my mind. Cut my hair off, went and did all type of stuff because I had that freedom. I thought that is what I wanted. I thought that, now that I'm away from home, I didn't have anybody to oversee me. I grew up in a Christian home. What I failed to realize, even though I knew, but at that time, that God sees all. And everything that you do, every choice that you make, everything, you have to give an accountability for it.
Booker T. Jones was a man who had dreams and desires to be a part of a solution to help America's disadvantaged. Starting as a residential officer at the now Earl C. Clemens Job Corps Center. He soon moved up through the ranks to center director in Mississippi. His vision was grander. He wanted to form his own company. He did so with Minac and won the contract for St. Louis Job Corps. His dreams and his drive, led by a pain that has taken his company to become a primary operator of 10 Job Corps centers. Under his guidance, his company has helped thousands of young people reach their promised potential. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I'd like I'd like you to welcome B.T. Jones.
Thank you very much. Let's give the Lord some praise. Give the Lord some praise. My plate is overflowing with joy and happiness because we have students from 3 of the Job Corps centers that Minac operates. Benjamin Hooks, Finch Henry, Excelsior Springs, and they're being hosted by the St. Louis Job Corps Center. You just gotta know I'm proud about it.